Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer, along with my co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. And Dan, buddy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. A little bit bummed out. The Mets lost in a blowout after unfortunately the Rangers couldn't help get what was supposed to be a New York sports trifecta last night. The Mets sweeping a doubleheader, which they did, and the Rangers winning Game 1, which unfortunately didn't happen. And the game surprisingly was still on when I got home from the Met game, and so I soon. I rushed to it. I was listening to the game on my phone as I'm on my way home, and as soon as I get home, I turn on the TV, and the game's still on, and I caught that ref missing that call.
Yeah, that whole Rangers thing was, that game was painful in every way you can have a game, and we'll get into that in a minute because, boy, we got a lot to get off our chest about that tough Rangers Game 1 loss. Just like he said, Dan got back from the doubleheader last night about 11 o'clock, and the Ranger game, which started at 7, was still going. And that's because they went into triple overtime against the Penguins. Really a classic game that, it's going to be one of those games we're going to be talking about for a long time, but unfortunately, our Rangers just came out on the wrong side. Igor Shesterkin just going crazy. I think he saved 79 shots. So, we'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. But so much to get into tonight because you mentioned how it could have been a New York trifecta. It could have even been a quadruple fecta, whatever you want to say, because the Yankees actually won last night too. They won their 11th game in a row. They were down 1-0 in the 6th inning. So, I ended up coming back, blowing out the Blue Jays in Toronto. So we have the top 2 teams in baseball so far this MLB season. First time in a long time. We've had that since '86 that we ended April with the top 2 teams in the league. So we got a lot to talk about with that. Also, we're going to be recapping our NFL draft from last week, the Best Seat in the House podcast mock draft last week, where Dan, I think we did pretty good in retrospect after me and you look back at our picks and the way that we thought the board was going to fall. How do you feel about the picks that we made compared to the real picks?
I feel the real picks turned out pretty good. We were pretty close, so I feel we might have won this draft, and hopefully it goes well once the season starts. That it lives up to this hype, this draft, that I feel is going to be a pivot. That was a pivotal draft for the future of both teams.
I couldn't agree more. And actually that's where we're going to be starting because just like you said, I really think, and I totally agree with you that this really was a pivotal moment in New York football in general. I mean, we've had such a bad 10 years with ever since the Giants won Super Bowl, what was that, 46, right?
46.
Yeah, ever since the Giants won Super Bowl 46 in February of 2012, it's been nothing but a barren wasteland. We've only played one game between the two of us. That was the wild card weekend game. The Giants played in Lambeau against the Packers, which they'd lose, and they'd get all that flack from the big boat trip down in Florida that happened before that. So we really haven't had a lot of fun talking New York football for a long time. We're going to be getting into that. But before we do, Dan, let's thank our subscribers and thank our followers. Everybody, thank you for tuning into us and watching us. We're about to crack a milestone on YouTube. We've only been around for 2 months. We're about to for not even 2 months, actually. We're about to crack 100 subscribers on
Congratulations to every one of you. Thank every one of you for subscribing.
Yeah, on YouTube. We're gonna have 100. So first 100, very, very cool, very cool. And as another milestone too, we're about to crack 200 followers on Twitter. So I think we're about 5 or 6 followers away coming into that count right now. So I think our social media presence is getting up there. Dan, how you feeling about it?
I feel we're on the up and up with this show and our social media presence. We're up and up. It's gonna get even bigger.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we can't sit here and say that we're raking in the thousands and millions of views yet. But hey, I think we're doing pretty good for a startup podcast where it's just two guys bullshitting about New York sports. So I think we're doing pretty good. And just like you said, we're on the up and up. So and also too, if you want to be our 200th follower on Twitter, there's a Fanatics gift card in it for you, right, Bo?
Yep, that's right. There'll
Yeah,
be another little Fanatics gift card for you. You can get some gear up, especially in time for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Maybe you need a gift for your wife or girlfriend. Maybe you want to get a gift for your mom. Mother's Day's coming up. You need to get a gift for your mom. You could get it that way.
very true. Maybe the woman in your life, whether it be your mom, your girlfriend, your wife, is a big sports fan. Feel free to take this gift card and use it on them for our 200th follower. Well, it's going to be one of our 200 followers to get it. But once we hit that 200 mark, that's when we decide to give it out. And that's where everything puts the wheels in motion. So do yourself a favor, maybe snag yourself a gift card. We already had one winner when we hit our 100th follower last month, and we're looking forward to doing that again. And really just hope you're along for the ride. Follow us on Twitter at bsith_podcast. That's bsith for best seat in the house and _podcast. Check us out there. On Instagram, we're at Best Seat in the House Podcast. And really anywhere else you want to find us on Apple Podcasts, we're Best Seat in the House Podcast, Spotify, Best Seat in the House Podcast. So we're all over the place. Wherever you want to get your podcasts, we're there. And Dan, how about yourself? If people want to follow you on Twitter, where are they going?
They could follow me at Bobo103NYC on Twitter. They could also follow me on Instagram, Bobo718DK. I'm also Daniel Kurlan on YouTube. I got content on there. I might film a little stuff there on maybe prior to the Rangers game tomorrow. I'm gonna be attending the game 2 tomorrow, or I should say Thursday when everyone's watching this. I'm gonna be attending the game. I'm also going to be on Saturday. I might film some content as I'm going to be taking a little trip to see the Mets on the road in Philly on Saturday.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So definitely love to see some content out of that, out of our co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. Do yourself a favor and follow him on all his social media. And if you want to follow me too, you can check me out on Twitter at my last name, Cramer, NY. That's Cramer, New York on Twitter. So you can check me out there. And I appreciate the follow. Also, too, I mentioned earlier that we are going to start with the NFL. You know what? Because you mentioned that you're going to the game tomorrow, which is very cool. Very cool. Well, when was the last time you attended a Rangers playoff game?
It was I think game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2015.
Oh, against Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Wow, very cool.
Exactly.
Very cool. Yeah,
I ended up winning these tickets.
What's that?
I won a ticket in a bar.
Really? Well, that's a hell of a way to get in the conference finals against Tampa Bay. That was a tough series too. But
yep, that was I felt the same way I felt after the Mets lost Game 7 of the 2006 NLCS after that Game 7. Oh, that was depressing.
Yeah, 2 of the toughest series defeats that we've ever seen our teams suffer. Yeah, 7 games, 2015 to the Tampa Bay Lightning, 7 games, 2006 to the St. Louis Cardinals for the Mets. So, yeah,
Yep.
definitely 2 series that'll leave you with a sour taste in your mouth.
It's to the point that me and my mom, anyone in our house, we refer to Yadier Molina as Yadier Blanken Molina. You
Yeah.
you can figure out what the middle name there is, but I'm probably going to be going. I noticed that sometime later this year, when the Mets, the last time the Mets play against St. Louis this year, I'm going to be at that game in New York. Going to be booing a Yadier Molina one last time.
Yeah, exactly. Yadier Molina gets the old Boston Bucky Dent treatment anytime he's in New York now, no doubt about it. So yeah, the Cardinals are in town in a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how Met fans react to Yadier. Um, Probably even Wainwright if he's scheduled to pitch in the series, which I'm sure he will. And also Albert Pujols, 3 Cardinals on their final farewell tour together. So gonna be
Yep, that
very interesting.
course Pool Jose. I can't mention that name, Albert Pujols, without thinking of that East Side Dave bit with Sean O'Berry laughing. Mentions Albert Pujols.
One of my favorite East Side Dave bits. And by the way, speaking of East Side Dave, if you want to see a great show, check out the Davey Mack Sports. He's got in his most recent episode, he had our one of our recent guests, Kevin Knight, on the show. So check that out. A lot of fun chatter on that. And yeah, so definitely check out Eastside Dave and everything he's got going on there. But as for us, Dan, let's start. You mentioned it, the Rangers. Boy, what a really really tough loss to swallow after that. The fast start. I mean, the first 10 minutes or so, the teams came out and really were kind of feeling each other out. It was really hard hitting hockey. Ryan Reyes was running all over the place like a man on fire, checking guys into the boards, giving that smash mouth hockey that we've been hearing about and we've been seeing all season long as the Rangers were one of the leaders in hits across the NHL this year. But man, they scored that goal after in the second half of the first period, take a 1-0 lead into the second, and then the game just blew the hell up after the Rangers scored that second goal to go up 2-0. They could not contain that Crosby and Gunsel line. And that was the theme of the game, especially in the second period, where the Rangers got got outshot 25-8. Boy, Dan, after being up 2-0, Cop nets that second goal, Rangers up 2-0. Actually, at the same time, the Mets were up 2-0, so I was feeling pretty good about myself at that point. What did you think after that crazy second period? Did you think the Rangers still had a shot?
I just felt like they had a shot to win this. Like somehow we're gonna win this. And I just remember it was like a roller coaster of emotion as a mid city field. I'm looking at the action of the field and I have the game on it on my headphones. Just everything going on, my reacting to everything going on, and then all of a sudden, as I'm on my way home, and I looked at the as I got home, I caught that goal that wound up getting overturned. I feel like I came home yelling at the TV. And then I think I may have woke up Mr. Balloonigan after that overtime loss.
Yeah, that was so if to recap the second period, so the Rangers are up 2-0. Then the Penguins, Crosby makes a great pass, makes it 2-1. Gunsel puts it in 2-1. Then before you know it, it's 2-2. So that 2-0 lead evaporates immediately. Then the Penguins get another power play, but in a crazy turn of events, it ends up leading to Zibanejad and Kreider on a 2-on-1 going the other way to the net of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They put it in. Kreider gets a shorthanded goal. If I was going to put my money on Kreider's first playoff goal this season being a special teams goal, I would have thought it's a power play, not a shorthanded goal. So really crazy way for the Rangers to take that 3-2 lead, get the Garden pumping again. People are going crazy, but then a very, very weak boarding call, which was just the theme of the night, the referees. And I'm not one of these fans that like blaming the referees, but the refs had a bad night at the Garden last night, Dan, right?
Yeah, they were really horrible. Like I am just hoping that those are not the same referees for game 2. Because I was upset at the referees, and again letting Crosby get away with shit again.
Yep. And no doubt about that. Crosby was doing stuff right in front of the referee that wasn't getting called. Gunsel was terrible all night. He was faking injuries. There was one point where he got a penalty against the boards where he's laying against the boards. And I thought to myself, I actually felt bad for a second where I saw him grabbing his knee. And I really thought like, oh, this guy might have like torn his ACL or really hurt his knee badly. And he was just hamming it up. He was just trying to get sympathy from the referees. So complete, just the Ranger fan in me was just screaming. And to be honest, even though I really had confidence in my team and I really thought that the Rangers had a very good chance of pulling it out, after everything that happened, especially in that second period, I was just kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop. For the Rangers to somehow lose that game in incredible fashion. What I didn't expect was that in the late third period, we're going to have Capo Caco crashing to the net, and then he hits in spectacular fashion Filipino standing right in front of an empty net, and Filipino puts it in 4-3 Rangers. It's called a good goal on the ice. Like, they didn't have to review it, which eventually they would, and it would be waved off. But the call on the ice was a good goal. And as a matter of fact, Steve Valiquette, if you want to follow Steve Valiquette on Twitter, he's a former Ranger backup goalie, current MSG analyst for the New York Rangers. And he showed a play that happened just about 2 weeks ago where the exact same play happened. And the goal was called, it was called a goal on the ice. They reviewed it. It came back a good goal. And when you look at it, to be 100% completely honest too, when I first saw the play, I was looking at it, I was waiting for them to wave it off. I thought that it wasn't a good goal when I first saw it. But then when they started showing the replays, and you see, I forget which guy in the Penguins it was, number 8, whoever it was, their defenseman, when you see how when Kako is going through the crease, their defenseman comes in from behind and hits Kako into the goalie, moving him out of the way, getting him out of position. And if you look in the NHL rule book, it actually says if that exact play happens and it's initiated by the goalie's own teammate, then it's a good goal. So the fact that they reviewed this thing and it came back not a good goal to send it to overtime, where we have to sit through 1 overtime. We have to sit through 2 overtimes. And then in that second overtime, the Penguins goalie, who's already their backup goalie, Casey DeSmith, gets hurt. And now they have to bring in their third string goalie, Louis Domingue. Like, Dan, just the insanity of this first game. I mean, I don't even have words. What were you thinking when now the third string goalie had to come in?
Yeesh, what kind of calamity is going to happen next? When I saw that.
You're right, man, because then, I was also looking at it from 2 different perspectives, where I was looking at it where, okay, maybe it's a good thing that it's a cold goalie coming in that's been sitting on the bench for the last couple of hours, and maybe the Rangers get him in a weak moment. But then the other thing is now that they have a rested goalie on their hands who hasn't just played a full game plus 2 periods, plus another period. When you're starting that third overtime, and then Igor has had all that time. So I was really torn. I didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Apparently, it was a bad thing because Igor ended up allowing the goal, which, I mean, you can't knock Igor too. The only goals he allowed in that game was in that crazy second period where he allowed 3, which really only one of them you can even say that he should have stopped, because the other 2 were just crazy chances. And then in the third overtime, it's a tip in by Evgeny Malkin who redirected a Sidney Crosby pass and puts it in to get the game winner. So I mean, look, he got beat by a future Hall of Famer in the overtime. So I can't knock him for that, especially the fact that he stood on his head for the 2 overtime periods prior to that. So Dan, just put into words how you're feeling coming out of this game and what your thoughts are, what the Rangers have to do better going forward, and if you think they can still pull this series out, or is this overtime thrilling loser an omen of bad things to come?
I just know this next game's gonna be might be another close one, and I feel it's gonna be how much can they keep Pittsburgh off the board in this next second game.
Oh yeah, and locking down and controlling that Sidney Crosby line, right?
Exactly. That's what it's gonna involve this game 2, and hopefully it goes in our favor, and they get a win right in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you're going to be the Rangers' good luck charm.
Exactly. Hopefully it'll bring the Rangers good luck of me my presence in the garden on Thursday.
Well, if the Rangers win on Thursday, maybe if you're going to Pennsylvania this weekend, you should not go to Philly. You should go to Pittsburgh for Saturday.
That's gonna be a little. It's gonna be a little expensive ticket. I think that's actually a longer trip.
It's a much longer trip. Yeah, Pittsburgh's about an 8-hour drive. Well, luckily we know at Philly it's like a 2.5.
Yep, that's true. I am gonna be listening to the game on my way home.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not another 3 overtime crazy game.
Yep, exactly. Hopefully by the time I get home, I'll probably know what happened to the game, and if the Rangers won, I'm probably gonna rewatch it because I'm recording it on my DVR to watch after I get home.
Oh,
So
that's a smart move.
even I'll be listening to the game I do on my way home, I'm gonna want to see what happens, see the visuals.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, especially when you get good things like that, good things happening in the playoffs, you definitely want to relive that as many times as possible. So I don't blame you for that, because I'm probably doing the same thing and I'm going to be watching the game live. Um, the other thing too is that the Rangers really have to win this game. You cannot go to Pittsburgh down 0-2. It's just it's really crazy. I really still can't believe they lost that game 1. But one thing I will say is that this is a good lesson for the Rangers. It shows you this is what happens when you have a young team like the Rangers who, look, you could shake a stick at all the guys, because we're not counting that the qualifying series in 2020 with no crowd in the bubble. We're not going to count that as playoff games. So
Yeah, that hardly felt like a playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. It did not feel like the playoffs, especially with the atmosphere and everything like that. And also it was taking place in August. You don't have hockey in August.
Yeah, that felt weird. I kept and he says, "What the heck's gonna happen if the Rangers get into a deep playoff run? Is my playoff beard gonna be very sweaty?" I made the joke because I don't shave when the Rangers are in the playoffs. I haven't shaved since yesterday. The last pre-playoff shave was yesterday morning. I shaved. Now from that point to the rest of the Rangers playoff run, I'm not shaving.
Exactly, man. And let's hope that you're not shaving again until sometime in either late June or July, whenever the Stanley Cup final is finishing up. But look,
Exactly. I hope I'm not shaving until the night before the parade.
yeah, I hope you're looking like Luis Gomez, Luis Guillorme did before he shaved his beard.
Exactly. That's what I might look like. I think someone said, I think during the 2014 Stanley Cup final, someone said to me, Bobo, when did you move to Williamsburg?
Very true. Very true. So, yeah, man. So, one thing before we move on from the Rangers too is, like we were saying, there's so many young players on this team, and if we're not going to count that 2020 series against the Carolina Hurricanes, that means that this is the Rangers' first playoff series in 5 years since 2017 when they got knocked out against the Ottawa Senators in the second round. So,
I remember at that game. I think maybe the first game I think I destroyed a remote. That last goal, I destroyed a remote.
yeah, very true, man. Very, very tough. So, that was such a tough series, especially if they took down Montreal in the first round that year. Then they get Ottawa in the second round. And I really thought the Rangers were better than Ottawa that year. But I think the Rangers were just running out of gas and just didn't have anything left. So that was it. They got knocked out. But then think about all the guys making their playoff debuts this year. Guys like Shesterkin, guys like Keandre Miller, Adam Fox, Capo Caco, Lafreniere, all these young kids that have, even a guy, I didn't even think about this too, but last night was Ryan Lindgren's first playoff game. These are guys that have been around in the league for a couple of years now, but the Rangers finally have ascended to the playoffs. So all these guys are getting a taste of the playoffs. And guess what? Even though we might have liked the matchup against the Penguins, you're going up against a team that in the last 5 years won back-to-back Stanley Cup championships and captained by a guy with 3 Stanley Cup championships and has been to 4 in his career. So, you have a couple of slam dunk Hall of Famers on there, a couple of the top players in hockey. So you really have to take advantage of their down goaltending situation and shut down their offense, especially that top line, that Crosby line. Otherwise, it's not going to, otherwise, Bo, you're going to have a clean shaven face in about a week and a half. So.
Exactly. And hopefully it doesn't come down to that because I'm not ready to take out the razor yet.
Exactly. And let's keep our fingers crossed because I think our boys are going to get their act together. I think Gerard Gallant is going to kick his team in the ass and let them know, that, okay, we blew that first game, but it's time to move on, put it in the rearview mirror, and let's get game 2.
Yep, exactly. Hopefully they come home victorious tomorrow.
All right, now that we got the Rangers out of the way, we're gonna jump right back into it with with another team me and you both love, the New York Mets. You know what? And obviously today was not a good day for our Mets, but you know what? Let's rewind it about from today where people are seeing this. This is Thursday, the 5th Cinco de Mayo. But
Yep.
six days prior to this, though, on Friday, April 29th, we saw some history, Dan. We saw the second no-hitter in the history of the Mets.
Pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history. Edwin Diaz puts on the finishing touches, striking out the side of the 9th inning as the Mets no-hit the Phillies. The 17th combined no-hitter in Major League history, the first for the New York Mets.
Man, let's start with that. What are you thinking about that? What a great game. What a fun game to watch.
That was an unbelievable game. I somehow had a feeling they were going to win that game. I didn't think they were going to hold on to a no-hitter once they went to the bullpen, but somehow they pulled it off you got to give credit to not only Tyler McGill, the starter, but a player who I actually remember from his minor league days. I actually saw him. I've seen him when he played for the Brooklyn Cyclones, but also the bullpen. They did an amazing job. And I have to say, the production people, the SNY, the last minute decision they went to when they got, instead of going to a commercial before they went to the top of the ninth, they stayed on the air and remained silent as Edwin Diaz made his walk up to the mound, and they let people hear the sights and sounds of the stadium, which
Yeah,
I need to really get to experience that. I had the volume as high as I could to really get the feel for that. That stadium felt nuts. I just feel like this team is something special, right? I feel like today's loss was just a blip on the radar. I have a feeling we'll be fine. Hopefully your bullpen doesn't have bad games like that. We have bullpen has good outings, and hopefully we'll have a couple starters that maybe go deeper into game as the season goes on into May right now.
yeah. I mean, look, I completely agree with everything you just said. It was such a great job by SNY letting you feel the sights and the sounds of the stadium and hearing the trumpets blaring as Edwin Diaz was coming out, and then you just look at the guys that you know took over after Tyler McGill just was amazing again. Big Drip, as they call him. He got that nickname from Cameron Maben last year, which I never would have thought Cameron Maben would contribute to the 2022 Mets, but hey, here we go. He's delivering a big nickname for Big Drip, Tyler McGill. Gotta love that nickname. Gotta love the 5 hitless innings that he put up last week. He had a rough day today, but it wasn't really his fault. But he got that pitch count up to about 88. So Buck Showalter, and you know what? At the time, I was not really a big fan of it. I didn't think that McGill was going to be able to finish the game, but I also thought that maybe he should have been allowed to get up to a little bit closer to 100 pitches. But Buck Showalter just played it perfectly, man. He took him out, brings in Drew Smith, who just is filthy going out there. He has been phenomenal this year. What are your thoughts about Drew Smith so far, man? I mean, the guy is just flawless so far.
Yeah, he's been doing a phenomenal job as reliever, so I got to give credit to Drew Smith, member of the No Hit 5.
The No Hit 5. I love that nickname. So, then so he gives way after Drew Smith throws an inning and a third to Joely Rodriguez, who comes in, another member of the No Hit 5. Joely Rodriguez goes out there, throws a gem of an inning. Then he gives way to Seth Lugo, who goes out there and fires scoreless frames until he comes out and top of the ninth. Now, let me ask you an honest question. As Met fans, we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Edwin Diaz. What were you expecting when Diaz came out of the bullpen? Did you think that he was going to lock it down, or were you chewing on those fingernails a little bit?
I was kind of nervous, and I kind of had a feeling he was going to get it, but I had this nervousness that he has had this look in his face that he was locked in and ready to get it. But I can never feel too comfortable in a top or of the ninth inning at a home game or at the bottom of an inning on the road game. I can never feel too comfortable with anyone whoever the closer for the Mets is. But somehow Edwin did it. We won. I was like, I went nuts. Like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Held on to a no-hitter.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The only thing that's going to be bigger than this is if the day comes we win it. And I can tell you, if you think that I was nuts with that reaction to that no-hitter, I have no idea if there, hopefully we get to see it very soon, hopefully this year. If we ever win the whole thing, I personally do not know how I will react.
Yeah, it's true, man. And what's that?
I don't know how I'm going to react when it finally does happen. That is a mystery. I just know it's going to be. It might be something else that might be action to that.
Yeah, well, hey, this is something that you have to keep in mind because right now the Mets have one of the best records in baseball. So they're 9 games over 500 right now, 18-9. But you know what I will say about Diaz coming in for that? I was very worried, but Diaz looked as filthy as he has his entire tenure as a Met. The guy looked incredible. I was so blown away with his stuff. That slider was breaking like there was nothing anybody could do with it. He was blowing that fastball past guys like it was nothing. Um, what I will say too is that this does actually make me a, a little more optimistic that if the Mets go on a playoff run, that he's not going to be a player that we're going to have to really worry about. And I know, look, it was an April Friday night game at Citi Field. So to say that I'm comparing it to the playoff atmosphere, yeah, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. But let's look at it from this way. Edwin Diaz has come in a lot of situations since he's been here since 2019. He's blown a good amount of them. But so far this year, he's looking really good. His mechanics look good. He's not getting ahead of himself. His arm's not dragging behind. So he really looks to me like he might have figured something out. Maybe Jeremy Hefner really helped him out a lot. He's not walking guys as much either, which is big. But I will say that those 3 he looked more filthy than he has his entire career from what I've seen. And it really makes me, because look, the guy had a lot of pressure on him. If he blows that no hitter, even if he doesn't blow the game, if he just blows the no hitter and allows a base hit, sure, people aren't going to go completely nuts, but he's going to be blamed for it. He's going to be the GOAT in the old meaning of GOAT, not what they say GOAT means today, greatest of all time. I'm still thinking of the old Billy Goat from the Cubs days when that used to mean being a GOAT, doing something bad.
Exactly. Speaking of GOATs, I'm shocked. I heard that in Chicago, there's a bar near the stadium that's named Murphy's Bleachers. I'm surprised that they had a bar before 2016 near Wrigley Field named Murphy's Bleachers, named after the very goat that was the name of the goat that was the subject of that Billy Goat curse.
Exactly. I was actually at that bar too, and
did that shock you that they named the bar that?
Yeah, it did. I definitely was not expecting, but they got a lot of cool stuff over in Wrigleyville there. So it's definitely a fun atmosphere, and I guess they do have a good sense of humor about it. But
yep.
If you really think about it too, isn't that the place that I believe they blew up the Steve Bartman ball?
I remember reading about that. I've never been to Wrigley Field, so I don't know quite where it is, but I think that may have been it. I remember reading about it when it happened.
Yeah.
But I'll know the whole thing about it one of these days, one of these years when I get to see the Mets on the road there one day.
Very true. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see the Mets play in Wrigley when I was there. I saw a Cubs Red Sox game, which was still pretty cool. And actually, Bobby Valentine was the Red Sox manager. So that was pretty cool too. But, so to get back on track, though, so, Edwin Diaz locked that game down last week. The Mets got the W. They ended up losing on your birthday when you were at that game. How'd you have that night, Dan? Would you have a fun time at the game that night?
It was great, except for the outcome.
Yeah.
It would have been nice, the outcome, but it was still good to get to be at the game on my birthday. Ended up adding another additional item to my Mets collection, the Edwin Diaz Bobble Gnome.
Yes, the Bobble Gnome.
Gnome that's also a bobblehead.
Exactly. So that's very cool. You can add that to your collection.
Bobble Gnome.
What's that? Say that again.
Francisco Lindor Bobble Gnome that was given out.
Yes, Francisco Lindor. Very cool. And so they took that tough loss on Saturday night, but then they came back on Sunday night on ESPN. They had the national game, unfortunately, where we all muted the TV and put on Howie and Wayne on WCBS right there.
Yep, that's what I did. I muted it and put on the radio feed as of watching the game.
Same thing I did, and as my girlfriend watched me and rolled her eyes. And but I just said, hey, I don't want to listen to ESPN. They stink. I want to listen to Howie and Wayne. At least they know what they're talking about.
Yep, and at least they actually call the game.
Yes, exactly.
Doing interviews, not calling the game.
Yeah, and what do you know? While we're on Sunday Night Baseball, real quick, what do you think about this Michael K and Alex Rodriguez K-Rod broadcast? They're calling it.
Well, aside from the interviews they did, which I saw highlights of the interviews they did, because I watched highlights of the Keith Hernandez interview and the Hank Azaria interview.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that those two felt too much like it was a Yes broadcast.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It definitely comes off very Yes like. I guess because of Michael K. I mean, he's like the face of Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you stick A-Rod on there, who was a Yankee for 10 years. So,
Yeah, exactly. But I'll be hitting the mute button if next to ESPN game as always, and I'll be hitting the mute button for the second Apple TV game. I don't know what kind of broadcast team, joke of a broadcast team they're going to get for that Peacock game, but I'll find out soon enough.
I heard that what Peacock is doing is I heard that they're going to have, I forget if it's going to be a 2-man booth or a 3-man booth, but what they're going to do is they're going to have one guy from like let's say it's the Mets and Phillies. So they're going to have one guy from the Mets broadcast and then another guy from the Phillies broadcast, and then have a whoever their main play-by-play announcer is.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're probably. I know they haven't announced all the Peacock game schedules yet, but I know one of the games sometime during the summer against Miami, so they're probably going to have. I'm just going to guess they're going to have Gary Cohen for the representing the Mets broadcast.
Maybe, but it depends if they have their own play-by-play guy, because then it could, like, maybe they'll have a guy like, Dan Shulman from like TBS does a lot of that stuff. So maybe they'll have like Dan Shulman with Keith Hernandez and one of the Phillies guys.
Yeah. So that'll still be good to have Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, or even Ron Darling, whoever they choose.
His number retirement day on July 9th, by the way. I'm going to be there.
Oh, you're going to be there?
Of course, they got to be there for the number retirement. Every number retirement that's happened with the Mets since I've been born, I was there. I was actually there 6 years old. My mother took me to the day Tom Seaver's number was retired.
Yes. What was that, in 88, I think?
Yeah, 88.
Yeah.
Actually got to be at that game. Of course, I went to Mike Piazza's number retirement day, and I went.
You were at Piazza's thing? I was there too.
Yep, I was there, and that poster, I actually got it. I hope one day to get Piazza to sign that poster because I have it ready to get framed. It was such a poster they gave out. The thing looks like an oversized baseball card. The way they designed a poster looks like an oversized baseball card. You have the poster, right?
Yes, the 31 you're talking about, right?
Yeah. You saw the picture, like the picture of Piazza looks like a baseball card.
Yes, exactly.
And it's such a cool design that I want to one day get Mike Piazza to sign it. It'll be the second item I have signed by Piazza because I do, as you probably saw me tweet a picture of when I decided to acknowledge because Friday they were wearing the black jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I took 2 items from my collection from that era, a signed ball by Piazza and a bobblehead of Piazza wearing the black jersey that was a giveaway at Chase Stadium. So eventually, hopefully one of these days I'll get that poster signed. But yeah, I was there for that one. I was there for when they finally retired Jerry Kuzmin's number, which was a number that was long overdue being retired. And Steve Cohen, that was the first wrong that Steve Cohen righted.
Yep.
And then Steve decided to write this other wrong, and finally have Keith Hernandez number 17 retired. And I will be there as well on the 9th.
Very true. And while we're on this topic, actually, do you think if it was up to you, are there any other numbers that you think the Mets should retire?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of numbers. For one thing, maybe Gary Carter's number should be retired at number 8. I
Definitely Carter.
Yeah, I also think David Wright's number, the number 5, should be retired.
Mm-hmm.
Captain definitely retire Wright's number. This is just so far. There could be some numbers on the current team that are going to hopefully will eventually be retired, but also another number that should be retired. The guy who's the guy who has the record for the all-time Mets stolen base record, number 7, Jose Reyes.
Yeah, I do agree. Eventually they're probably going to have a weekend, maybe in a couple of years, where that they're going to retire 5 and 7 at the same time, and it's going to be Jose Reyes and David Wright weekend, and that's going to be pretty cool. The only shame is that those guys never got to play in a World Series together.
Yeah, that's a shame that never happened, and I feel like Wright would have still been playing had he not had all those injuries not gotten to him.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, Ryan Zimmerman, you know, I I'm not sure if he's still playing this year. He might be hurt.
Yeah, I think he retired after last year. If I'm correct.
Yeah, but I mean, Zimmerman's 36 or 37, and he just called it a career. Obviously David Wright's been done since the end of 2018, really before that, because he just showed up for the last couple of games, or the last game of the season that year. But yeah, really, really tough with David Wright. He had such a great start to that career. But yeah, so while we're talking about baseball too, and I want to thank everybody for sticking around with us here on Best Seat in the House podcast. As so many sports things to get to. Still, real quick too on the Yankees, because then I want to talk NFL draft here as we wrap up. But boy, the Yankees have really turned things around, right? Then
Yep,
they go out there and just have been hammering the ball.
yep, they still have, but it's still early in the season, and it's gonna really come down to what happens during a stretch run. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
feel because I feel Toronto's gonna wake up from that struggle. They got some good players on that team also. So it's going to be, it might be, I think that race is still going to be a neck and neck between the Yankees and Toronto for the AL East.
oh yeah, you're definitely right about that. It's definitely going to be Yankees and Toronto. I mean, in my opinion, that's going to be Yankees and Toronto all year. The Red Sox have kind of had an up and down start. The Red Sox currently are 10 and 14, and they're leading right now. But the Red Sox look like they're missing a little oomph this year. But yeah, I think I agree with you. It's going to come down to Yankees, Red Sox. As a matter of fact, if we're doing a little score update right now, the Yankees are down 2-1 in Toronto right now. Joey Gallo hit a home run off Kikuchi for the only Yankee run. Nestor Cortez only lasted 4 innings. Threw a lot of pitches, so I think Aaron Boone got him out of there trying to protect his arm. Matt Chapman hit a home run for one of the Toronto runs, as Toronto's up 2-1 right now. Kikuchi is still in the game. The Japanese lefty came over from Seattle, so we'll keep you updated on that game. Although probably we'll still be going by the time we finish. But yeah, it's definitely going to be Yankees and Blue Jays all year. And let me ask you a question, Dan. Now, we've seen right now Aaron Judge just having a phenomenal season. We all remember he rejected the Yankees $30 million a year offer for 7 years, which would bring him around 215 or so $1 million. Boy, it looks like he's gonna, as long as he stays healthy, he's gonna get a much bigger contract than that. What do you think? Do you think the Yankees made a little miscalculation trying to rope Judge into this deal, or do you think that Judge betting on himself was a good move?
I think maybe just so far it looks like Judge turned down a really good deal, because it's going to be, the higher you're asking, the harder it's going to be to get that these days, as we've seen.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. But I mean, the one thing I will say in Judge's favor though is if he keeps hitting like this, boy, I mean, the guy he's on right now coming into today. Aaron Judge was on pace to hit 61 home runs. Now we all know he's not going to hit 61. I mean, even in his rookie year, he hit 52 and it seemed like he was hitting a home run every day that year, which, by the way, isn't the major league record for rookies anymore, because as we all know, Dan, who hit 53 home runs in 2019?
That was Pete Alonso, and I was there the day he broke that record.
Were you really, against the Braves?
Yep, I was there for that.
Very cool.
I kind of was bummed out that it ended up being a Fox game, because I would have loved to have seen Gary, Keith, and Ron call that moment.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. That was such a fun year, as Pete Alonso broke the rookie home run record and became the first Met to ever hit 50 home runs, which I was convinced for the longest time that we were never going to see a 50 home run hitter for the Mets. So very cool to see the big bat of Pete Alonso breaking records left and right, and he's still hitting bombs to this day. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, to touch back on Judge for a minute. To be honest, I think the Yankees might have miscalculated. I think the Yankees should have upped the ante, should have given Judge whatever he wanted, because now let me ask you a question. What are the Yankees going to do if Aaron Judge has an MVP season this year? Like, let's just say, for argument's sake, Aaron Judge goes out this year and hits 330 with 40 home runs and 130 RBIs. What kind of contract are the Yankees going to give him? Because it's going to have to be higher than 215 for 7 years. Do you think that they'd be willing to go over 300 for him?
I think they would have to. I really don't know how the current ownership of the Yankees is. I know George would have been like, he would have gotten a 10-year deal if George was still alive.
See, that's what I totally agree with you. I think if George was still alive, and look, Cashman, in my opinion, still he's a great GM. I know a lot of Yankee fans prior to the last week in this winning streak had been turning on him, and I've heard nothing but bad things about Cashman from Yankee fans for a while now. But I mean, hey, you got to get that. If George Steinbrenner is still alive, they add on the last 3 years of that deal to make it, instead of a 7-year deal, they make it a 10-year deal, taking Aaron Judge up until he's about 40 years old. They still give him that $30 million a year, just like they offered him in the first place. But in my opinion, the Yankees pulled a Wilpon. They pulled a Wilpon because they offered him, oh, we're giving you the AAV. We're giving you $30 million a year, which, yeah, of course sounds great. But guess what? Aaron Judge knows his value. Aaron Judge knows that 7 years goes pretty quick. So he wants to get those last 3 or 4 years on that contract. He wants to get a 10-year deal, just like Bryce Harper, who got 13, just like Mike Trout, who got 10 plus years, just like Manny Machado got 10 years. Now let me ask you a question. If Manny Machado can get 10 years and $300 million, how the hell could Aaron Judge not? I would take Aaron Judge every day of the week over Manny Machado. Am I wrong?
Yep, exactly. I would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I would be glad if during the off season I heard my alerts popped up that the Mets signed Aaron Judge. I'd be like, welcome to Queens.
Stevie Cohen opening that pocketbook. Give it to Aaron Judge. Let's go. Let's bring number 99 over. We can bump Taiwan Walker down to 98 if he wants.
Yep, exactly.
So, hey, I'm totally with you, man. I think, hey, this could end up. I look, and I highly doubt he's coming to the Mets, but it does make me happy just to think about that little prospect of adding his bat to this lineup, because that would just be crazy to have him around. Especially with if you have a rotation with a healthy DeGrom, Scherzer and Bassett, and then you turn around in your lineup and you're throwing out guys like Escobar and Alonso and all these big time bats with Aaron Judge right in the middle of it. Lindor, I don't know, man. That's pretty crazy to me, especially Starlin Marte, Nimmo, and that would be a lot of fun seeing him over here. And Aaron Judge is one of the best players in baseball. So I think the Yankees might, especially if he has that big kind of year, Yankees might be in a little bit of hot water with Aaron Judge. And actually, speaking of that today, how was in hot water? You went to the showing at Compound Media today.
I didn't go today. I'm going tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, okay. Yeah,
I'm going. I'm going. Well, or I should say today, since everyone's watching this on Thursday.
oh,
So,
true,
so,
true.
so, I'll have been there.
So if you're watching this on Thursday and it's prior to 2 p.m., tune into Compound Media in a couple hours because you'll be seeing the co-host of this show, Daniel Bobo Kurlan, on the new Gino Bisconti led in hot water. Gino's hilarious, so go check that out. Subscribe to Compound Media if you don't already, and check that out. It's a shame that Aaron Berg left, but Gino's still carrying that on and doing a great job.
Yep, that he is, and I hope he does very well.
Me too. Me too. Wish Gino and the guys over there, obviously Garrett and Steve, who do a lot with that. Bobby Tamburo, who does a lot with the dump, which is the show before in hot water and in hot water now. So really wish those guys nothing but the best. But as we're coming up to the end of the show here, Dan, we're gonna do one last little thing. I want to do just look back at the NFL draft and see how we did, and see what we think of how our teams did with their actual picks. So in our mock draft, you had the Giants taking Johnson, the defensive end, which actually coincidentally the Jets ended up getting, and you had the Giants taking Evan Neal. So, but instead, in reality, the Giants ended up getting how do you pronounce his name? Thibodeau, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yep, that's how you pronounce the name, Kayvon Thibodeau, I believe.
Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau, big time defensive end, edge rusher, ends up going to the Giants. Really in that Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck type mold. Maybe not mold because he's not the same type of player, but in just the mold of having a big time edge rusher for the New York Giants. We both got 1 out of 2 on our top 10 picks. I said the Jets were gonna draft Drake London at a USC, the 6'5" receiver. Instead, he was off the board, and the Jets ended up picking Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State at number 10. But I did nail Sauce Gardner at number 4, and you nailed Evan Neal going to the Giants too. So how you feeling about that right off the bat, Dan?
I'm feeling excited about this. This is going to be a real exciting team this year, and I'm hoping it carries a bit of momentum. That I hope this draft shapes, hopefully, what'll be the future of the football here in New York.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, just I really think the Giants did a great job. Evan Neal is a perfect pick for them. He's gonna really help pump up their offensive line. The Giants really have been trying to rebuild that line under Dave Gettleman for years, and Gettleman just could not get the right mix together. Looks like the new GM, Schoen, coming in and getting that job done, picking up a big time offensive lineman tackle right off the bat, which the Giants desperately needed help at the tackle position. Really love it. Really love Kayvon Thibodeau too. I mean, I think he's got a big time personality for New York. I think this is going to be a type of guy that, I think the Giants did the right thing. I mean, me and you in our draft last week, we had him slipping. Neither of us picked him in the top 10. I thought he was going to do kind of what Johnson did. I mean, we heard, the complete opposite things, that the defensive end Johnson, who the Jets ended up picking 26th, there were rumors the Jets could pick him with their first pick at number 4, and he fell all the way to 26. Now, the entire offseason, Kayvon Thibodeau was the number 1 prospect in the entire NFL draft. Now, it ended up getting a little mixed up. Aiden Hutchinson jumped him for a little while. A couple of the other guys ended up, displacing him, and he ended up falling to the Giants at number 5. And I think that's a steal for the Giants. I think he's going to be great for them and really up their defensive play and help them get to the quarterback. And obviously, Evan Neal is going to help them protect the quarterback, right?
Yep, exactly. I can't wait to see how this goes. I'm hoping that hopefully we don't see Daniel Jones get sacked a gazillion times like last year.
Yeah, it's true. The Giants could have uh altered their thinking and um diverted from the Daniel Jones experience so far. They could have thrown the white towel in. A lot of people I saw on Twitter, a lot of Giants fans were kind of keeping their fingers crossed, hoping that maybe they went after a guy like Malik Willis, the quarterback, who ended up getting drafted later on. He also dropped. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick. That didn't happen. I'm happy the Giants didn't draft him. The Giants needed to put more talent around Daniel Jones and give him another shot with a decent team around him, right? What do you think, Dan?
Yep, exactly. They need to give him a shot with a decent team around him, and I feel like they've done that. And now let's see how it goes during the season.
Yeah. Now you got the new coach Dayball, you got the new GM Schoen, both putting the Giants on the right track. I think they had a really good draft too. And now I might be a little bit biased, but I think the team that stole the draft, I think the teams that had the top two drafts in all of football were the Jets and the Giants. But I think the Jets had the best draft out of anybody in football. And I'm not one of these guys that usually puts a lot of stock into draft picks and drafting and all this stuff, but boy, the Jets had a hell of a first round. They go out, they pick Sauce Gardner at number 4. They go out, they pick Garrett Wilson at number 10, and then trade back into the first round at the end, number 26. They traded back up from they had the 35th pick and the 38th pick in the second round. They traded number 35 and a fifth rounder, end up moving up, get a third rounder. I'm sorry, and they end up moving up, getting Johnson, the defensive end, another edge rusher, who they said they had in their top 8 players. He's a guy that me and you both thought were going to go in the top 10. Dan, what did you think when you saw the and I know you're a Giants fan, but just from that perspective, what did you think when you saw the Jets making all these moves?
Well, I think on paper the Jets look good, and like they said, now let's see them put their money where their mouth is and live up to the expectations.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Now Robert Saleh has to be getting more out of these guys, and I think GM Joe Douglas did a great job in free agency this year, and especially in the draft. And one thing a lot of people are forgetting about too is that the Jets also traded up in the second round. They swapped picks with the Giants and traded up to the 36th pick to select the running back Bryce Hall, who I love that pick. And that's just what we were saying about the Giants, with Daniel Jones. The Jets are finally surrounding their young quarterback with a little bit of talent. And then let's see what he can do. He's got more talent on the offensive line now. They've got more talent in the receiving room. They got more talent in the running backs. You got this guy Hall and Michael Carter, who they had last year. It's a pretty good running game they have now. They've really improved their defense by bringing in Johnson and Sauce Gardner to help the defensive backs. And I'm thrilled. And just like you said, now you got to put your money where your mouth is and get the job done. And another thing that I really did like out of this draft while we're wrapping up here is I know a lot of people were a little skeptical of the Jets picking that tight end, but did you see the Jets picked a tight end named Jeremy Ruckert? He went in the third round, and he's from Long Island. He grew up a Jets fan, so very, very cool to see this guy coming full circle and how emotional and happy he was to be playing for his childhood team. So that was very cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment for that guy, and hopefully it's been the best of luck.
All right, and before we get out of here, though, we got one last little segment to do, as we want to do Bobo's 3 minutes of pain.
You're going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
And Dan, I know you got a lot to get off your chest right now, especially with the way that our New York Rangers and the New York Rangers lost last night in devastating fashion. The New York Mets lost today. So Dan, let's hear your 3 minutes of pain starting right now.
All right. Well, for one thing, I gotta say, I'm upset with the fucking referees. Freaking cost us that game. That was a freaking good goal. I was freaking yelling at the TV. I nearly destroyed a cup of water when I saw that game. When I saw what happened, I was even yelling at bullshit every time a ref blows a call. Also, Sidney Crosby, fucking cheater, freaking Tom Brady, freaking like Tom Brady getting away with shit in football. This guy gets away with shit. Stop kissing up to him, you freaking higher ups.
Hell yeah, man. So, you got that Giants off your chest, the Rangers and that tough loss off your chest. Those referees. You got 2 minutes left, buddy. Anything else getting on your chest right now?
Let's see. How about for once the bullpen doesn't make me feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack already? We got our history with relievers already.
Yeah, they definitely make a good habit out of blowing things, and the Met bullpen in general definitely loves to scare the hell out of us Mets fans.
Exactly. I think I made a joke saying that. Yeah, I think maybe our closer once said maybe once overcooked a meal once for dinner.
Yeah, very true. And we get we've seen the John Francos and the Braden Loopers and the Billy Wagner's blow games and the Jerry's Familia at his worst and Frankie Rodriguez. So Dan, you got a minute left. What else? Anything else?
And of course, the other thing I gotta say, waiting for a bus for a million hours sometimes be nice if I didn't have to wait a long time, because where I live I gotta take a bus to get to the train station, so that'd be nice and not have to wait too long for the bus for once on the way home.
There we go. New York City Transit, pick it up. Come on, this guy's a celebrity right here. Don't make him wait forever for your freaking bus.
Yeah, exactly.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is Bobo's 3 minutes of pain. Dan, thank you very much. I love that. Do you feel that it's a little therapeutic getting that off your chest?
Yep, it does. It feels good.
All right, and that's all we got time for right now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around with us here on Best Seat in the House podcast. We had another great episode coming at you next week. Hopefully, we're gonna have a special guest in the next couple of weeks. So I'm working on that. We'll be getting that done hopefully shortly, and we'll be announcing it on our Twitter and social media feeds. So until then, thank you for sticking with us and checking out our podcast every week. Next week will be episode 10. So 10 episodes down, Dan. All right. Well, next week will be our 10th episode. We'll have 10 episodes down. Feels like time's going a little quick, right, Dan?
Yeah, time's gone by quick. I feel like yesterday we had show 1. Now we're in 10 episodes, and we're getting good at this. And I feel this show's gonna get even bigger as we go along.
Exactly. It's only getting bigger, and it's only getting better. And me and you just figuring out where this thing's going. We're just riding this magic carpet ride right now, and seeing where it takes us. And I really think we're having a lot of fun with this. And before we know it, we're gonna have to do a live event sometime soon, Dan. Right?
Yep, exactly. We gotta definitely do that one of these days.
Maybe we'll do it at Donovan's.
Yep, that'd be great. They would love to have us.
Absolutely. Because I remember you coming out to my. You remember a couple of years ago, I believe it was 2017, when you came out here, I did my event at a bar out here, where we did the Christmas with Kramer event. You remember that?
Yep, I remember that. That was a great time.
Yeah, that was very fun. So we'll definitely be doing something like that. Maybe at Donovan, since you have a good connection there, and it's a very great spot in Queens. So no doubt about that. We'll be checking back into that. And we're going to have a lot to cover next week. A lot of fun things. Yankees on a roll, Mets on a roll, Jets and the Giants mini camp starting up soon, and hopefully a deeper Ranger playoff run that we'll be getting into a week from today. So until then, Dan, I wish you and your mother a very happy Mother's Day this weekend. I hope everybody listening has a great Mother's Day as well. And for all the mothers listening to this in our audience right now, happy Mother's Day, right, Dan?
Yep, exactly. Be sure if you live in the same area as your mother, your same region, stop by, visit your mother on Mother's Day. Pay her a visit. If you live a far distance from your mother, make sure you contact your mother. Give her a phone call. Talk to her. Let her know you care about her. Don't.
Absolutely. You got to love moms. Moms are the best. So happy Mother's Day to everybody who still has one around and is lucky enough.
Thank you, Mom, for making me a Met fan and take me to all those Met games growing up.
You got that right, buddy. You got that right. So, everybody enjoy your weekend, and we'll be back with you next week on Best Seat in the House podcast.